All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 TV show in the history of the world. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, both books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing Terry Brooks' Magic Kingdom for Sale, Sold! This came out in 1986. This is book #1 of his Landover series, which has maybe 5 or 6 books in it. Now I've got the I've got every book that Terry Brooks has ever written. He's one of my favorite fantasy authors. I've got them all right here. You can see that's my Terry Brooks collection. All the Shannara novels, everything. Got them all. In fact, I've met Terry Brooks a few times, and he has signed most of my books. I got most of them signed. You always know I like to show off my signed book collection. If you ever want to watch one of my best book reviews that I've ever filmed, just type in The Sword of Shannara and my last name, and you will see a spectacular book review. But let's get to this one. Came out in 1986, as I said. I read this for the first time. I read this when it came out in 86 as a young guy. I loved it. This is the first time that I've read it since then, so I've forgotten most everything about it. I just remember I liked reading these all the Landover novels I read as they came out, and I liked each one of them. The cover, I like graphic design and cover art, so let's review that first. This has got a great old painting by the great fantasy master artist Darrell K. Sweet. And if you don't know who Darrell K. Sweet is, he did the original artwork for the Wheel of Time. He did a lot of Lord of the Rings covers. He's done thousands of book covers. But anyway, we've got all of our main characters here. Now, about 10 years ago, I was at a Terry Brooks event that he held in Salt Lake City, where he talked about this book, and he said that it was going to be made into a movie starring Steve Carell. And he talked a lot about the movie making industry and that process of getting this movie made with Steve Carell. Well, like you, I've never seen that movie come out into the theater. So I don't know what happened to it. Must have got dropped by the studio, or they must have had problems in production, and then they just said, we're not going to do it. I don't know, but it never came out. I thought it would have been a cool movie, and I thought Steve Carell would have been a great person to play our main character. But never happened. So anyway, this is about Ben Holiday. He's 39 years old. His wife and young child died a few years ago, so he's kind of lonely. He's a lawyer in Chicago. He gets this Christmas catalog in the mail, and it's addressed to his wife, and it's from Rosen's Ltd. Christmas catalog. Okay, so he's sort of, it's got my wife, it's addressed to my wife. Maybe my wife used to buy things off this. So he's thumbing through the catalog, and he comes across an advertisement for a Magic Kingdom for sale. It just says Magic Kingdom for sale. Well, actually, I will read to you what the advertisement actually said. By the way, this book has a great map in it too, which I will show you. The map is right there of our Magic Kingdom that's for sale. So anyway, the advertisement reads as follows. Magic Kingdom for sale. Landover. Island of enchantment and adventure, rescued from the mists of time, home of knights and knaves, of dragons and damsels, of wizards and warlocks. Magic mixes with iron, and chivalry is the code of life for the true hero. All of your fantasies become real in this kingdom from another world. Only one thread to this whole cloth is lacking. You, to rule over it all as king and high lord. Escape into your dreams and be born again. Price $1 million. Personal interview and financial disclosures available. Inquire of Meeks at our home office. So it's kind of like Fantasy Island. If you remember the old Fantasy Island show. You go and they play out your fantasy. Or it's kind of like Westworld. If you remember, you don't even need to remember Westworld because it's a show that's going right now on HBO, and it's pretty good. I've seen it. It's like, buy this Magic Kingdom, make your dreams come true, rule over a fantasy kingdom, yada, yada, yada. And Ben Holiday's kind of like, this can't be real. But then he goes to work and he hates his job. And he's like, I hate my job. I mean, he drowns his worries in scotch every night. He drinks scotch. Sometimes he drinks it on the job, like they did in the show Mad Men, where they're just drinking scotch and brandy and all this stuff right there at work. He does that and he's just like, this job sucks. I hate being a lawyer. Things are crappy. I keep drinking my scotch. By the way, I have tried scotch. It tastes like vomit. Do not attempt at home. It's grotesque. Ugh. Brandy too. It's just, and I don't know why people that work as lawyers and advertising execs drink this shit. Anyway, that has nothing to do with the book. Anyway, he goes ahead and he's in his shitty job. He's becoming an alcoholic on scotch. And then he decides, he keeps thinking about the advertisement. So he's like, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to go to this place and see if it's real. He goes to the place. Well, by God, it's real. I mean, otherwise, why is Terry Brooks writing this book? So anyway, he meets with the guy who says it's real, pay me the $1 million. And then the next thing you know, he's whisked off. And well, they send him to Virginia. And they say, go to Virginia, go through to this one place in Virginia, and that's where the Magic Kingdom is going to be. And he's like, oh, they've just set up some sort of Renaissance fair in Virginia that I'm going to stumble into, and they're going to crown me king at the Renaissance fair. Okay, this isn't worth $1 million. But then he gets to the place in Virginia and walks through the portal. Next thing you know, he's in this weird place because he's in Virginia in the wintertime, and then he goes through the portal, and it's like totally summer, and he's like, okay. They've done a really good job with the special effects at this Renaissance fair, right? No, he's actually entered into Landover, and he meets this wizard, Questar. He meets a few people first, and they're just delightful characters. Questar the wizard, Abernathy the talking dog, and we get to see all of them. And then he's given this magic talisman, and on the cover you can see Abernathy the talking dog wears the spectacles. He's sort of a smartass. We get to see the Questar the wizard, and then we get to see our main guy Halliday with his talisman that he keeps that lets everybody know that he's supposed to be the king and high lord of Landover. Anyway, and then there's these two kobolds that are crazy that follow they're bodyguards. But anyway, Ben Halliday in his real life back in Chicago was an amateur boxer, and his boxing skills actually are important to the plot. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to ruin things for you. But anyway, he enters this place. He meets these characters. He finds out that this kingdom is actually in ruin. All the barons refuse to really crown him as king as he was promised. The peasants are without hope. Things are shitty. There's a dragon laying waste to everything. There's an evil witch that's tormenting everybody. There's even a ghost knight in empty suit of armor. Which is pretty cool. The paladin, they call him. And it's just like this empty suit of armor that travels around. And then there's the lovely Willow, who's a sylph. She's also a tree. I guess that's what sylph is. In magic fantasy lore, is a sylph a pixie girl, like a little Tinkerbell girl that turns into a tree? I'm not sure. According to this book, it kind of is. Then there's demons. There's the Iron Mark, the Lord of the Demons. And, of course, demons are never good. So that's kind of the fantasy land that this guy stumbles through. It's got a lot of comedic moments. I think Steve Carell would have done this great. This would have been a great movie. An absolute great movie. Imagine Westworld with Steve Carell just being Steve Carell in the middle of it. It just would have been bizarro and crazy and weird, but in a fantasy setting. That's kind of like what we've got here. Now, I'm not saying that this turns into a Westworld where everybody in this fantasy land is an actual robot, like a sex robot. No, that's not what was going on. I'm just saying that the guy is transported for the price of $1 million. He's transported into this place, and it's just a delightful story. Absolutely, I liked it just as much now as I read it when I was a kid. I was absolutely thrilled. It's just one of those books that you can read if you've been reading a lot of heavy stuff. Some books that take a lot of heavy lifting to get through them, like Malazan or even Stormlight Archives, just books, or even something like Dune. And if you just want like a fantasy that you can breeze through and have fun with, turn to this Terry Brooks book, because this is just dynamite. I liked it. I give this a 9.5 out of 10. It's absolute joy to read it. Trust me,